town you never heard of. Hey everybody, welcome to the Common Folk Podcast with Ben, Morgan, and Andy.
All right, welcome back to Common Folk.
That's right, podcast for the people, by the people.
There it is. There it is.
Doing a little joint deal today. We traveled up to Omaha. This is foreign territory for me up here in Omaha.
Yeah, but this studio is amazing.
Studio's super cool.
Yeah.
I get every time. I don't go to Omaha very often, but when I do, I'm always hungry.
You act like you're like a backwoods guy or something.
I mean, like,
you can't
when
travel.
I drive down this road right here and see all of the food options,
like you just want to stop at all of them?
yeah, I'm gonna have to get something on the way out.
Well, it is later in the day.
Back
So
home,
you're gonna give him the pass?
I mean, it's not about me and whatever he wants, but
back home we got like 3 options.
Mm-hmm.
Burger
two
King,
fast foods.
Burger King, Runza, Taco Bell.
Wait, we have a pasta place now.
We do?
Yeah,
And
that Italian.
Yeah.
I don't.
Oh, you guys have to go.
You guys get up more than I do, I guess.
I don't know. We sound a really small town here.
Yeah.
I'm sure our guest is like, what is going on?
What is going on?
Yeah, exactly.
When I do go to Omaha, though, it's usually for my furniture and electronics shopping.
There you go. So where do you go?
Where else would I go? Nebraska Furniture Mart. That's right.
That's right. Yeah.
What I want to know, we'll have to ask this, but like, when did it change to NFM? Because when I was little.
Let's figure out who we're talking
Okay.
to first.
Because I'm like, I got all these questions. Let's go.
All right, so we're sitting here with Andy Shefsky. Got that right? Huh?
Got that right?
Got
Yeah.
that right. I had to remind him what his last name was because he wasn't sure.
We're sharing that now, aren't we?
Yeah, and also the guy doesn't drink any coffee ever. Has never had coffee in his life.
Yeah, your head about exploded when he told you that.
Because you're on 2.
That blows my mind.
You're drinking for the both of us.
Yeah, apparently. So, Andy, you are PR and community manager here at Nebraska Furniture Mart. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Nice. How long have you been doing that?
So I've been in this role since the summer of 2019, and I've been at NFM, not Nebraska Furniture Mart, for coming up on 10 years now.
Oh, really?
Wow. How'd you get started? What were you doing first?
Here at NFM?
Yeah.
So my role was focused on the customer's experience. So my background has always been in sales, and I spent a lot of time working with all of our customer-facing departments and professionals, helping best practices for really building a strong rapport, getting to know the customer, what are they trying to solve, and really invest in them and treat each interaction as a unique one, because maybe you're in the mattress department, you sell 10 mattresses a day. For that customer, maybe it's the first time they've ever made that purchase in their lives.
Yeah.
So breaking up the monotony of what you might be doing day in and day out, really understanding the story of the customer. Everyone's got a story.
Yeah.
We literally bought our first mattress
Here.
here. Yep.
Yeah.
When we were just some young bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's man, there's a lot of options. What where did you grow up?
So I'm from a suburb of Atlanta.
Oh, okay. And when did you move to Nebraska area?
Moved here in 2015. My wife is a native, so she brought me back.
So, and then that's pretty close to when you started here then.
That's exactly right. So full
Okay.
disclosure, and I know we'll get into the history of NFM.
Yeah.
Mrs. B, our founder, was my wife's great grandmother.
Oh, wow.
Stop.
So I've got
That's
some close
awesome.
ties to the family.
Cool.
So is AJ your son?
He is, yes.
So he was on the news a while ago, and he's a 5th generation family member to work at Nebraska Furniture Mart. That's what asked me. But
Yeah.
NFM. So I thought that was so cool. He was on the local news not too long ago. He was on the floor at that time, or he was getting his sales training.
That's exactly right. So that was when he started. Now he's a freshman in college. So he works in sales in the electronics department.
Okay.
And now he's part-time because he's in school in Arizona.
Mhm.
Whenever he's home, though, he spends his time working on the sales floor. So Black Friday this year, he was here from 7 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. He had his best day ever. So
Oh, that's
he
awesome.
really likes it.
So do you have other kids that work here too? Or
So on an unofficial basis, so rewind back to when we were still living in Atlanta.
Uh-huh.
Of the grandkids, mine are the oldest, and I was volunteer working here when we'd come in for Thanksgiving each year. I had no idea what Black Friday was before.
Really?
Yes,
This was a baptism then.
Oh, I bet.
and so I said, well, if I'm here in town and my father-in-law's waking up really early and going to work, I'm not just going to be sleeping in and being all lazy. So I said, put me to work. So I had been working at Black Friday for many years before coming into town. Well, my oldest son at the time, he was in first grade, and he said, Dad, I want to work this year.
Oh,
I'm like, I tried to think of all different ways to prevent him because I could just see meltdown happening after 5 minutes.
Right.
I said, well, we're going to have to get up real early in the morning. He's like, that's okay. I'm like, well, you got to wear nice clothes because we're a sweatpants and sweatshirt kind of family. He said, that's okay. And so my father-in-law and I looked at each other and we're like, well, let's bring him in. And he dominated. Wow. He was talking to customers like crazy, thanking them for shopping with us. He was in on the action and he kind of started a tradition. So now there's been grandkid after grandkid doing this. In fact, this year, 8 of them were lined up with my father-in-law in the front from my oldest son, who's a freshman in college, to my youngest niece, who's a first grader, all working, doing their part.
That is so cool. That is a family business.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Well, and we've had so many guests on, and it's kind of taken the identity of part of our show is we like to talk to small businesses. And okay, right now you're working out of your garage. Like my buddies that make duck calls, we just did that expo with them, they like took a garage and made it into their shop, right? But this is the same story. It's just a few years down the road. And this is the grandest of success stories ever, I would say, in business. I mean, just saw a short little documentary on Rose Blumkin, the founder, and like she started in a garage or in a basement, I think it was.
In the basement of her husband's pawn shop. That's right.
There you
go.
go.
Yes.
1937.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Here, 37.
What was the what was her goal or direction at the time?
So at the time, picture this. So in the 1930s, you've got a Russian immigrant female minority. You put all those, just one of those factors. That's you're already against things, right? One of the 20 years prior is when she basically escaped from Russia. So even before coming here, her dream was to one day be living in America. And so much of her efforts just to make it here and bringing her family over gave her this unequivocal level of commitment and passion to be grateful to be living in America, and the ability to have work ethic unlike any other seen before. She just had this burning desire to be here and thrive. Now, her aspirations in her mind was, well, wouldn't anybody else think this way? It's work hard, take care of people, don't take advantage of them, be honest. Yeah. And that's where her famous tagline for years has been sell cheap and tell the truth. And that's how she got her reputation of being honest as could be. And you talked about your first purchase being a mattress here.
Yeah.
Customers will talk about from generations and generations how they remember when they came in with their grandparents and they were working with Mrs. B, and how appreciative they were that Mrs. B took care of them and wasn't out to make a quick buck, but was out to help someone. And by having a small markup, it allowed her to make a living, and it allowed families to be able to, what we try to do is improve people's lifestyle.
So you guys mentioned the in the garage or in the basement or whatever. Where was that? That was in the Omaha area, or?
Yes, that was here in Omaha.
Okay.
Wow.
And what was being sold at the time? Like what was she putting out there into the world?
Well, so furniture was where she got her start.
Okay.
And it's really some interesting stories when you date back to the beginning. When she first started making things happen and making inroads, you kind of know that saying where if you're not upsetting anybody, maybe you're just not making that big enough of an impact. So it wasn't long after she started making some progress that she got taken to court by some of the larger businesses here in town.
Oh.
And they took her to court because they accused her of having prices that were too low.
Really?
Too low.
That's a thing. I've never heard of that.
Apparently
but-
yeah. So picture this in the courtroom. These big corporations have their attorneys with them. Mrs. B couldn't afford an attorney. It was just her defending herself. And she brought with her her record books, and she said to the judge, "Here's how much I buy for the goods, and here's how much I mark it up. I don't understand, what am I doing wrong?" Just like what you said. Well, the judge threw out the case. The very next day, he came in and he bought a whole home's worth of carpeting.
Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's stories like that. Like when you talk about we're now at our 5th generation.
Yeah.
We have so much, just like Mrs. B had so much gratitude just about America. Yeah. We have so much to be grateful for and to remember and appreciate and honor the legacy that Mrs. B taught us, the education we can learn, and passing on her core values that we still practice today.
You know, you can't really look her up or Google her without the 1975 tornado that just ran down 72nd Street in Omaha and really hit the store really hard here. And the first thing she did, the reason it's in the news is because she turned around and called the Red Cross and wanted to make a big donation and wanted to help people as much as possible. And it doesn't even talk about you guys having to clean up your own mess. You know, like, it's just amazing that she has all this. She built this empire, and it's still about the people with her. So,
you know, she worked, I could go on and on talking about her. She worked every day of her life till she was 102 years old. She died when she was 104. She loved 3 things. She loved her family, she loved America, and she loved her customers. Yeah. And anything that she did, it was around those things. And that's the reason that from the beginning, we've always been closed on American holidays, is however successful or big time sales those days could be. She believed that, number 1, we need to honor America. And number 2, allow employees to spend time with their families during those days.
Wow, that's huge.
I got a Rose Blumkin story.
Oh, love hearing them.
When I was a 6th grader moving on to 7th, we lived in town, Lynch, Nebraska.
Yep.
And that's when we're going to move back out onto the farm. Our farm sit a couple miles out of town. So Dad built this new house, and it was a rough cut basement, unfinished basement. And so we were starting like, all right, we're going to furnish it now and got to go to NFM, right? So we drive all the way to Omaha, and we needed carpets, the main thing we needed for the basement. And we had no clue what we wanted. This would have been in 92 or 93. And I remember we get there and they point us, okay, that's where all the carpet is, big warehouse, just, I don't know, hundreds of colors, hundreds of patterns, all these different things. And we're just these idiots. I remember our whole family was just bouncing around looking at this, then we look at that, and we just looked lost. We were lost. And then here comes Rose. She was on her scooter at the time. What are you guys doing here? Well, we're looking, what do you need it for? And we told her, she goes, this is what you want, this one or this one. And like, okay, well, my favorite color is green. She goes, well, then you want the green one. Get it, go. It was like she was very direct, very honest. Like you said, you said, sell the truth.
Sell cheap and tell the truth.
And tell the truth. Like,
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. She told us what we needed and got exactly what we wanted. And until the flood, that was the carpet that was in our basement.
There wasn't a bunch of runaround, wasn't trying to upsell you, wasn't.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just like, who is this little old lady? And like, oh, that's Miss B. I'm like, the one on the billboard? Yeah, that's Mrs. B. Like, wow. You know, like you said, like that's a kind of a shocking story that every day of her life she went to work.
Yeah.
Yep. It's pretty cool. When you were telling her story and kind of like how she came up and how the business has developed generation after generation, we're obviously involved in kind of the agricultural space. And it just sounds very similar to so many stories that I hear about farm families, you know, that started the farm, started the ranch 100 years ago or whenever it was. And now they're on their 4th or 5th generation, and you know, how they work every day, you know, with their values in mind, and taking care of people and taking care of animals and taking care of the land. And, you know, all the decisions are surrounded around that. Just, it sounds extremely similar. And I never would have thought of that from what I would consider, you know, a retail store, you know.
Well, you know, it sounds like when you get down to it, the fundamental values are consistent.
Yeah.
What you're talking about, and they can really cross over into any industry. So what I like to tell folks that are just starting at NFM, I love to visit at New Hire Orientation. We have a segment or a portion where folks can ask whatever question that they want. And one subject that comes up is like, how do you know that this is the right long-term fit for you? And the best way I summarize that is I invite them to take a look at what NFM's core values are. We have them posted everywhere, and what we stand for, what we believe in. And I say, take a look at those. And if they're aligned closely with your personal core values, then there is a high probability that you found a place where you could ultimately retire at. Just a general rule of thumb, if you're in an environment, whether it's personal and professional, and you're surrounded with like-minded folks who share the same interests and are the same high-quality people that you want to associate yourself with, then you're really taking care of your own culture.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when it comes to employees and, you know, and how you interact with them and things like that, I mean, I'll be honest with you, my taste of corporations is sour. You know, when I look at big companies and I see, you know, the stories they tell people but what they actually do and what their actions are and things like that. And then looking at, you know, like turnover and how long are they able to keep people? How many people do actually work until retirement for them? How does that look for you guys? I mean, based on the way that what you're explaining to me, it sounds like it looks pretty good, but for the most part, what does your turnover look like? How long are folks working for you guys? You know, are you seeing a lot of retirement and those kinds of things?
Yeah. So actually we are, in fact, this week, someone is retiring after 42 years here. Wow. So having a nice reception for that individual. Val, certainly going to miss you, Val. We have, I was looking at this data recently because to me, the numbers are mind-blowing. We have a celebration for those that have been here for 20 years. It's called being a part of the 20 plus club. There's a ceremony, there's a reception every year after that. Everybody that's been here at least 20 years takes part and celebrates in it. Company-wide, we have a little less than 5,000 employees here. 10% of them have been here for at least 20 years.
Nice.
That's mind-blowing to me.
Yeah.
I also, the other component that I like to take a look at is growth and development. So we've got many internal development programs where folks that are looking to advance in their careers or really just develop some particular skills. Some of our leaders of today, and I'll take, for example, our CEO and president, who is for the first time, he's the first CEO or president that is not a family member. He began his career at NFM working in our warehouse in Des Moines. Several of our leaders today began as part-time cashiers while they were in high school.
And just kind of work their way up.
That's exactly right. And that's what I love of all these different stories. I tell folks in new hire orientation, it's really a choose your own adventure. You kind of almost want to think backwards where find a place that seems to be a good culture fit versus the specific role.
Yeah.
Because if you ask anyone here that's been here for a number of years, now there are some folks that they stay in the same exact role throughout their time, which is totally fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The very first thing I always like to ask of someone that's reporting to me or member of my team, I've done this wherever I've gone, is what are your short and long-term goals? I owe it to you to know what those are to help set you on that path. And hopefully it means you stay here. But even if it doesn't, let me invest in you. If you ask folks about their journey, you've had folks that started, well, I brought up cashiering, warehouse, and then they became strategic leaders. You have folks that went from loss prevention to our IT department. Mm-hmm. There really is no cookie cutter formula. It's each person has their own individual path to navigate and time frame. And a lot of them too, while they're with us, they're getting their college degree through our tuition reimbursement program. They're taking place in our leadership programs, such as Women Lead, Leader, Journey to Leadership. And the great thing about those two is the mentorship program we have is those of us that are here serve as mentors for these individuals. So I've gotten the pleasure of being a mentor on the Be a Leader program for 6 years now. It's a 6-month program, and you've got one-on-one time with an individual who's aspiring to get into leadership. And then when you see what they learn, and it's also a great way to get a little bit of exposure into it before getting into the role, because they might find, ooh, that's not for me. I prefer to be an individual contributor. Better to find that out before they're in the role and still be happy.
Yeah. I think there's a built-in advantage there too. And I've seen a lot of other companies, but like with AJ opening up on the floor, he's a young guy selling electronics. Like, if I'm going to be buying electronics, that's the type of guy I want to talk to.
Sure.
So he's filling, and he's doing a good job. He knows his stuff, but it's also, he's getting a taste of what is it like being on the floor, working with the public. So like he's getting this education while he's also being, in my mind, the best employee that you guys could hire. A young guy that's with it, that's hip, that knows how all these electronic stuff work, you know?
Can I share with you a proud dad / coworker?
There you go. Yes.
Please.
Okay, so I'm one to kind of be out there, and it's not just the not drinking coffee. I'm a big fan of the movie Elf, and
Buddy.
it's been known that I've dressed as Buddy here at work. So it started at Halloween, and then it became a Black Friday tradition. So if you're here on Black Friday, you'll see me staying in full character as Buddy. And my son was working with a customer, and I think he was selling them like a Meta Quest headset, one of those, or something along those lines. The customer had no idea I was his dad. And I just go up and I say, "Ooh, what are you getting?" Like full Buddy mode. And, you know, if it was me, I'd be like, "Dad, stop." I'm with it. Like, I'd be all frazzled. He just said calmly, "Buddy, I'm working with a customer right now. Would you mind?" And I'm like, "Ooh, okay." And then walked away. But, you know, along those lines, Andy, one thing that I really appreciate and understand a challenge is when you are, whether it's a teenager or younger. And I remember this when I was a kid. It's hard to have an adult take you seriously, like get attention or just acknowledge that you might have something to contribute. And so that may make folks or youth a little bit more intimidated to make eye contact, initiate conversation. So getting them out of their comfort zone and kind of forcing them to carry on a conversation, get to know a stranger, talk to people from all walks of life. It's a skill set that you can use for the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
And it started young, obviously, with him wanting to come in.
Yes.
I mean, I feel like that was our oldest. I remember she, you know, that not wanting to look. And we'd go to a restaurant at 4 years old. We're like, "No, you're going to order." And there was one time she didn't want to order food. I'm like, "Well, you're not going to eat then. We're not ordering it for you."
Jeez.
Like, because she was so quiet.
Didn't have it.
Well, I'm just saying, like, you really,
It's
you
a
know what I
great
mean?
lesson,
Like, you
yeah.
really should, like, look at someone and all you got to say is chicken nuggets, please. But, like, it's really not that hard.
Right?
Like, a parent, I don't know. I just feel like sometimes forcing your kid, but it sounds like
Oh,
your son
I think
just had it
Andy-
from the beginning.
Andy gets it. You did the kitchen sink at dad embarrassment. Like I got to work up to this. Dress up as Buddy, interrupt him doing his job.
Oh, your
And
kids
that-
are going to punch you. Are you kidding?
Yeah, so I
Willa
can't-
actually smacked me this morning.
Oh,
I
okay.
interrupt.
See, I was right.
yeah, I don't want to put anyone in danger. I'm a big proponent of safety as well. But yeah, I do like to throw
That's
the
funny.
kitchen sink at them and
Yeah.
you know, get them battle tested. And I feel that
Yeah.
the sooner that they're able to be comfortable
Uh-huh.
in their own skin, it's so much
It's
more
huge.
liberating too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
In speaking about employees, Andy was mentioning something to us earlier. We were just talking about you guys and just the different things that you guys have going on. He said something about some kind of volunteer program that you guys have with your employees. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
yeah, so that's something that is very near and dear to me, and I'm very fortunate that my role oversees our volunteer time off program. So you've probably heard of different companies having volunteering events, which are great and great opportunities to give back to the community. They also mark for great opportunities to build camaraderie and culture with folks working side by side, getting to do things that are meaningful and have an impact. We got the okay to allow each employee to have 40 hours of paid volunteer time off per year.
Thanks.
Wow.
40. That's a whole
That is a week.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where they are paid on the clock and they are volunteering out and about. And we just did the math too, because we looked at everything that we did in 2024. Now, granted, last year was a leap year, so there were 366 days, not your typical 365.
Yes.
We had over 500 unique volunteer events company-wide across all of our regions.
Wow.
Okay, and when you say regions, where are you? Like
Okay.
how? How many locations do you guys have?
Okay, so Morgan, let me test your knowledge. Which ones are you familiar with? And I'll fill in the blanks, even if it's
Okay,
multiple.
Colorado.
No, I'm going to stop you right there.
Oh, shoot.
Sorry.
I
We
thought there
deliver
was-
there. We don't have a presence
because I thought
there.
my aunt and uncle have bought stuff from there, and they live in Colorado.
Yes,
Maybe
we have
that's why.
customers, many
Okay,
customers.
but Iowa.
Yes, we have a
Yes.
store in Des Moines.
I don't know what else.
That's
Where else?
okay.
I think I can do this.
Okay,
Okay.
you do it.
Bring it.
But you might have something new that I don't know about.
Possibly.
So that's actually Clive, right?
Oh, wow. Now we're really getting into some weeds.
Okay.
Yes, it is Clive.
And it's not the big store. You work hand in hand with the mattress factory, furniture store across town, right?
Someone did their research. It's called
I know. I think,
Homemakers.
is that
Okay.
No, it's not.
Okay,
It's,
no,
yeah,
it's,
you can
it's
do
home
that.
preparation. It's
yeah,
someone that didn't prepare my
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
convenience.
So I remember when Kansas City went up, and that was kind of a joke, like, okay, you're going to be in Kansas City, it's going to be Nebraska Furniture Mart, but now it's NFM. That's a good marketing move.
Okay. Oh,
And you're
man,
down in Fort Worth area,
close.
Dallas.
Closer. Yeah. A suburb of Dallas.
Man, I don't know if I can get to this
You
stuff.
got Clive.
I did get
didn't see
Clive,
that
yeah.
coming.
Man, I just know you're down around Fort Worth, Texas. And I've never been to that one, but I thought it was hilarious. The headline out of that was, it was this newspaper in Texas I looked up, said, that's a big store. I'm like, anytime somebody from Nebraska can do something where Texas is saying it's
They
big,
call it big, yeah.
yeah, well, yeah, I'll take that.
They've
So,
done it right.
but those are the three main ones I know of. Here in Omaha, Kansas City, and then down around the Fort Worth area.
Well, you also mentioned Clive.
Yeah.
And in Dallas, the suburb of Dallas, the Colony, is where our newest store to date, which opened in 2015.
Okay.
And we have broken ground on our next store,
Okay.
which will be in
Oh.
a suburb of Austin. It's called Cedar Park. And I was just there last
Okay.
week, actually. So got
Nice.
real excited about
Cool.
Yeah.
What's the projected date for that to be open?
Yeah, so the spring of 2027.
Austin's going crazy, man. I
It
keep
is.
hearing things all across the board about Austin.
Yeah. yeah.
Rogan going place up?
Yeah, Rogan. Yeah,
Just a little bit. Yeah.
we rank higher than Rogan.
Oh,
Yeah. No.
No,
So,
we don't.
with the volunteer program, was that part of the helping a hero? Was that, because that's when I met Ann,
Mm-hmm.
and the 100 home challenge, and Benjamin Marksmeyer
Yeah.
we're at his ceremony. I was there covering it for the news, for News Channel Nebraska, and that's when I started rubbing shoulders with your folks, and this was brought up, and I was just putting things together. Like, was that part of that?
That is part of it. So actually it's kind of it dates back to our history as well. So Mrs. B had 4 children. She had a son and 3 daughters, and her son was her oldest. He was a World War II veteran. He was actually on his way to compete in the Olympics for diving. He was a top level diver, never lost a meet, training in Seattle. The war broke out. So instead of the Olympics, instead he was at D-Day. He also helped liberate concentration camps. He was a decorated hero.
Wow.
Came back, and he was the second generation, and him and Mrs. B started really growing the business. We have such a strong appreciation for those that have served because that's in our history.
Mhm.
And one of the key initiatives we have centers around ways that we can support veterans, tying back to how we can improve people's lifestyle. Sergeant Marksmeyer was a perfect example of that. You talk about a Nebraskan who was a wounded veteran from Iraq,
Yeah.
and him getting an adapted home that him and his sons can live in. And we had the pleasure of being able to work with him on furnishing his home.
Yeah. And just a good dude too. Like, we're talking about doing a fishing episode with him.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he
Yeah.
would love that.
Yeah.
He's a
jumped in. I'm
nature
like,
guy.
all right, let's go. Let's
Sounds
do
fun.
it. So, no,
The interesting thing about working with Ben, he's very handy, and he likes to build a lot of his own furniture. So we had to get creative. We're like, well, what are some things you can't build?
Oh, right.
So
Yeah.
fortunately, we have a lot more than just furniture, and he was more focused on building tables. So we let him do that part, and we took care of the other.
Right. Like electronics.
He can't build electronics.
Yeah,
Take that,
exactly.
Ben. Found your weakness.
Washer and a dryer. Come on, Ben.
Yeah.
yeah. And he had a son the age of where electronics, I need more, So,
Yeah.
there's always that demand, I guess.
Okay, let's get to the NFM, Nebraska Furniture Mart. Did that
Oh.
just switch? Was that recently?
You mean like today?
Well, not today, but like in the past 10 years, or I feel like when I was little, we never said that.
No, you didn't. You said it as
Okay.
Nebraska Furniture Mart.
Yeah.
And it's actually, it's different things to different folks, right? In fact, you
Okay.
mentioned Texas. A lot of folks refer to our store there, they just call it Nebraska,
Really?
which is interesting.
Okay, I like that.
Now, the reason that we are commonly referring to ourselves as NFM in present time is we got our name when we were only in Omaha. Well, we just mentioned so many other
Mhm.
businesses that we were in. When we got our name, we were also only in furniture. So now that we have everything from furniture, flooring, appliances, electronics, we have an optical center. We are in so many more locations than just Nebraska. Take Des Moines, for example. You mentioned we have the smaller store in Claude.
Right.
That store actually doesn't even have furniture in it. So picture a customer in Des Moines going to Nebraska Furniture Mart, and it's easy for them to, if they're taking us literally, which I don't blame them, being confused. And so
Oh.
NFM really encompasses
I like that.
everything.
Okay.
Yeah. So we kind of grew into the name. We take no offense when someone refers to us as Nebraska Furniture Mart. And especially, we know that it holds a special place, and it ties families together too.
Yeah.
So whatever name you're comfortable with using, hey, as long as you come shop with us and we're taking care of you.
Yeah. It probably age stamps you though a little bit. Like we're probably old then.
That's what I called it when we came in here. That's all I know.
I know. Yeah.
I just assumed, I guess, when I think back on it, I remember seeing advertisements for NFM and that being used all the time. I just assumed it's because the words were so long. So they were like, oh, NFM.
Right. Yeah. Shorten it up.
Yeah.
But I think it's a pretty cool thing, from a business standpoint, when your name says one thing. And so then, like you said, people will literally think, oh, that's a furniture store. But you've gotten to the point where Nebraska Furniture Mart means so many other things to people. Like when you hear that, you think of all of these other things. I mean, I know I do, and I know a lot of people do. I don't just exclusively think of furniture. So it's almost like you've redefined the words, in people's minds.
Did you guys talk to the same consultants that work with like the Big Ten conference? Because there's way more than 10 schools in that conference now.
It is interesting how that logo has changed. And now, is it like a G that is?
It's V1G.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think so, but I can't say for sure.
No, but like what you're talking to, that the brand meant so much, and it's evolved now. So you're not just going to give up on Big Ten. Everyone knows what you're talking about.
Is the Pac-10 still the Pac-10 with the two
That's
teams?
gone.
Okay,
That
it's
is
gone.
gone.
What are the two teams called? What conference is it then?
They both found conferences.
They did?
Yeah. So they're
You're talking Washington State and Oregon State?
yeah.
Oh.
This year I think they might have been independent, but they are hopping on like the Mountain West.
Okay.
Somebody. Okay.
Oh, really?
Yep. So only Notre Dame can really pull off that independent thing and be okay. And they're doing a pretty good job. They just played in the national
I'd say
championship.
so, yeah. So,
Yeah.
The in terms of the location, so the Omaha location here, other than when she had it in the garage and in the basement, is this ground here where it's always been?
no, so it began downtown.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so the first location was downtown off of Farnham.
Okay.
And this became, believe it or not, considered the west location.
Okay, so there was two for a while.
Yes, and until the tornado wiped us out.
Oh, okay.
I mean, this store was destroyed completely. And then when we rebuilt, we only rebuilt this store. We closed the downtown store because actually, anytime you've got failure or a negative experience, and a natural disaster certainly can be included in that, you can get some valuable learning lessons.
Sure.
From that. One thing that we learned, this is before my time, one thing folks here learned was that you didn't need two stores. You could operate, in fact, much more efficiently with one location. Rewind, though, those days, 72nd Street was considered Western Omaha.
Yeah.
Now it's considered what, Midtown? Not downtown, but more Midtown.
Yeah, when we would come out here when I was a kid, it was for things like this store, or maybe we'd go to the mall or whatever. It was always like a special trip out here, and there really wasn't a whole lot, further out. But now, like you said, it's just kind of in the middle.
So you guys are probably a little landlocked then. You're not building anything else out here, or could you
I mean,
to expand?
at
This location.
I guess you're right. Yeah, because if you look at our campus, like it stretches from, you could go from Dodge to Pacific, really.
Yeah,
right
I was
there.
kind of looking at the map.
Now, space-wise, though, we feel pretty comfortable with,
You guys.
like, for example,
Yeah.
when we opened our optical division, we were able to find a space inside our electronics and appliances.
And just kind of
store.
move some things.
Mhm.
I got you.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But this location, is it the biggest, or are you building bigger? Like the one in Austin? Is
This
it gonna be
one's-
bigger?
Well, a little bit. Now,
Okay.
the difference too between this location, we have 3 different buildings here because, as you know, we grew in different
Yeah.
phases. So we've got this building that we're in with the furniture and flooring is separate from our appliance electronics building and is separate from our Mrs. B's outlet. Once we built our Kansas City store, which is in the early 2000s, and then since then with our Dallas and soon to be Austin stores, those are all one building.
I see.
Yeah, and
Okay.
they're roughly 500,000 plus square feet. This one amounts to almost 500,000 square feet, so there's not much difference to them. The key thing that we want to focus on is, it's great to be big. If you're not intentional, then that can be overwhelming. We want to make it easy to navigate, easy on the eyes to find what it is that you're looking for. If you want to spend hours here and you're bringing comfortable shoes, that's great. If you want to be in and out, we want to make sure you're taken care of too and value your time.
That point you made there about spending hours here, it seems like, and again, we don't get out this way a whole lot, but every time I come in here, I see another thing that's like something I wouldn't expect to see at a furniture store or an electronics store or whatever. You guys have made it almost like a destination to do things while you're here. What other kind of things are offered to the visitor, to the guest?
Yeah, so it's very experiential to
Yeah.
the point. And pretty much any weekend, and you can find all of our events. We post some on our website, various social media channels. A lot of them are geared towards family-friendly events. We have a recurring crafter day events where kids can come in and work on projects. We partner with organizations like the Humane Society, where maybe it's a good opportunity for a family to adopt a pet. We also partner with our vendors. So, for example, one thing that's really neat about our store of a recent development, you guys ever checked out those MetaQuest 3D?
Yeah, those
goggles?
headsets.
Yeah. Meta partnered with us and created it's like the Meta flagship store experience. So we have a lot of space and for sure on the weekends, most weekends, Meta has someone come out to help with the demonstrations, but it gives you plenty of space to really try it out, not just be like, oh, I think I'll like these.
Right.
So whether it's an experience that we own 100% or we partner with one of our vendor partners, the whole concept is to make something for everybody. You mentioned products. The goal is to be a one-stop shop. What if we had everything for inside your home that you would ever need?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a trusted company that you feel valued and appreciated, and you're getting good value, and people are taking care of you. Wouldn't that be easier if you had more things that they could take?
Right. One thing that still appears to be thriving here at NFM would be Black Friday. I can remember coming to Omaha over the holidays to Uncle Drew's house, and he is one of those coupon type of guys, right? Always looking for the angle, always looking for the deal. And it wasn't my bag, but I tagged along with him a couple times, and I remember I bought a JVC 5-disc changer. I was after a Samsung, but that got sold out. I wasn't quick enough.
Missed it.
This is for a car?
This was for just a home stereo.
Okay.
I would have been about 15, 13 at the time.
Oh, now the big tray and circle
the
around.
big, yeah. Oh yeah. I had Dad's speakers and I had the receiver, I had all that stuff. So my first CD player and compact disc I bought here. It was on Black Friday with my uncle. I just find it fascinating, and this is another part that I find fascinating. We like to talk small business, and people just can't really wrap their mind around that this was once a small business. How has NFM been able to, in this world of Amazon and online buying, stay a destination? You guys provide the experience, but is there more to it than that? Because everywhere else is talking about how we can't keep our doors open because of this, because of that. You guys seem to be doing fine. You're putting up a place in Austin. Like, what's been the big key there?
I think it comes down to our principles and our values and what we stand for. Focus on taking care of the customer. Make it easy to do business with. Also take ownership when things go wrong. Things are going to go wrong at any point. We have thousands of transactions every single day, and we're human. Mistakes happen. If you take ownership of them, that's actually an opportunity to enhance your customer loyalty and experience, because you can really see someone's or some organization's true colors when things are not going well.
Oh my gosh, you always say that. It's so true.
Well, no, I've been spying on him.
No, it's just crazy. You don't really hear that really a ton. But
The way I look at it is exactly like you said. I mean, having a good experience and everything going well, and the product working properly, and no mistakes and whatever is just kind of the expectation. So if you do that, folks aren't like, oh yeah, it's so great there, everything went great there. Folks are just like, yeah, they did what they were supposed to do. But then when you have those issues, that's where it differentiates the companies.
Yep.
Because that's the things that the folks remember when they say, yeah, I had a problem, but they made it not a problem and took very good care of it, or the opposite, and then it's really bad.
Yeah. That reminds me of a saying that one of your big investors, Warren Buffett, would say, and it's when the tide goes out, you can see who's skinny dipping.
There you go.
You know, and it
It's
kind of plays
amazing all the great
yeah.
zingers he has.
I
the
never knew
Oracle
that
of
was his
Omaha. He's got
Yeah. The other point or focus is how much we invest in our staff to be top level professionals. So when you think about a lot of these products that people are purchasing here, they're not everyday products. You're not coming here as often as you go somewhere to eat lunch. Maybe it's the first time you've ever made the purchase. Maybe it's once in a decade. And so if you've got someone that is representing those products and is so educated on them and knows them inside and out, they've got the answers to the test that the customer needs. So when you can marry that, you're not just being a clerk and writing up an order. And I don't mean anything against that level of service, that, you know, taking an order and writing it up and being proficient. When you can take it to that next level of service where you are truly servicing the customer because you've uncovered what they need and you know every single thing about this product to either set them up for success or prepare them for, I know this is what you came in for. You mentioned you were needing it to do this. I want to let you know there's a limitation on this product. At the very least, be informative so the customer isn't caught off guard or felt misled.
do you see most people when they come back want that same salesperson? Like, is that a trend that you see?
Yes. And in fact, that's one of the things that I taught in my best practices for building customer rapport.
Okay.
I said, it's great that you hear NFM ads all over the place. We're on TV, we're on the radio, we're on everything that you see. So I said, now visualize for a moment, if you had those ads say, ask for Andy, how great that would be. I said, every interaction that you're going to have is the potential to be a walking, talking endorsement of the services you have to offer. We just had an interesting experience, and I know TikTok is interesting right now, how it's gone up and down. Well, someone made a post, and I believe it was the day TikTok turned back on. So it was this week. They had a great experience with one of our sales professionals in the bedroom department. Mentioned him by name. It went viral. It got picked up a lot. So it's one thing to get a repeat customer. It's another that someone came in because you helped their friend or family member. It's a whole nother level when someone's coming in because they saw a social media post about how great you took care of a total stranger to them.
Yeah.
It's someone else saying
That's cool.
how good you are at your role. Just like if someone's going to come work in NFM, it's a much higher level of credibility if one of my coworkers is suggesting to their friend or family member come work at NFM versus us advertising.
Right. Yeah.
There's also something to be said. You mentioned it in delivering a pitch or helping a customer out, telling them of the shortcomings of the device, the camera, whatever it might be. Because like you're kind of getting at, Ben, it's easy to tell everybody what they want to hear, all the good news. It's another level to tell them, look, that might cost more, that might be cheaper, but it's not going to get you there. It's not going to be what you want. And when you leave, we want you to be happy. So kind of an art to that.
Yeah.
Well, it ties back to Mrs. B of not taking shortcuts. You're in it for the long game. That's one of the benefits that we have as a business is, even though we are majority owned by Berkshire Hathaway, which is a publicly traded company, we're viewed as a privately held company. So you had mentioned big businesses before, and how the whole behaviors are different. And I realized firsthand, my previous role before coming here, I was part of a smaller organization that got bought by a larger publicly traded company. And we noticed as soon as it was close to a quarter where earnings are needing to be reported, all of a sudden the focus is more of, hey, we need to sell more of these licenses. And even if it's not in the best interest of your customer to do it now, we need it.
Yep.
And it just didn't feel very good.
It was good for the shareholders.
Good for all these short-term things. And you talk about, well, how much of a role am I playing in helping someone? It's really not really feeling that. So when you're able to be at a company that is able to play the long game and not take shortcuts and be thinking, yes, we need to be viable and be able to turn the lights on tomorrow. We're so focused on 5, 10 years out. One thing I forgot to mention that I've got to share that people are mind blown about from a standpoint of our reputation and stability is we're in our 88th year of business and we've never had a layoff.
Oh,
Wow.
Single layoff.
Yeah. So even during those times when you had the natural disasters and those kinds of things, you're able to fight through that. Very cool.
Part of that, and you've touched on it, is you guys invest in your people, your employees, and that's all part of or plays into the volunteer program, paid volunteer. What is the wildest request you got that you gave the green light to? Because if it was me, I'd be like, well, we got to go to Pheasants Forever. I got to go to Pheasant Fest. I got to get that's where I would probably go.
I have to take underprivileged kids hunting.
Yep, there we go.
Now that's a tough one, Andy, in terms of wildest, because we play things pretty safe. PG is about as extreme as we get. I'm going to try to turn it into more of a unique
That's good.
opportunity. And actually, it's one of the more recent ones we've done. And you may have noticed this when you walked into our store today, but we've got a mural up right now.
Okay.
And if you didn't see it, take a look at it on your way out. It's right by that wall behind us here. The title of the mural is called Grandma's Quilt. And it was in partnership with the Jocelyn Arts Museum. And they've got a program with aspiring young artists. And we worked in conjunction with them. And they completely did this mural.
Wow.
Cool.
So it was just a neat, unique opportunity that we're not doing every day. A lot of the volunteer events that we have are continuous, either on a biweekly or a monthly event. Some of our more heartfelt ones that I feel closely to are around Memorial Day, where we go to a cemetery and we place American flags on those that are at their final resting place. Feels really special, especially when you have all of us have family members that serve. Another one is, are y'all familiar with the Teammates program?
Yes.
So we've got roughly 30 of us are Teammates mentors. And so we get to do that on an ongoing basis. It's a weekly meeting with your mentee. I'm now with my second mentee. We had been together since 5th grade and he graduated last year. So now I've got my second mentee and I'm on my last year of getting to be, I'm president of the West Side chapter. We can only be on the board for 6 years. So I'm rotating off at the end of the semester, but getting to do programs like that and really kind of back to choose your own adventure. What's near and dear to you? Do you want to do things like go out and about and clean up parks? Would you rather go out and help serve those that are homeless or in need of a meal? Or would you rather be a mentor? All of these different things, the options are endless.
We were just talking about that last weekend because I like to volunteer, tell him to do things.
Volunteer.
I was like, oh, you should do that Teammates thing for our school. And he was like, how about you do it?
Ooh, what a counter.
Oh, that is a good
teamwork, right? You guys.
That's exactly a 2-for-1. So when I signed up, I hadn't even gotten home yet to let my wife know what I signed up for. And they're so thorough with their background check and so quick. They called her up and she's like, what is this program? And they told her, and she's like, well, sign me up too. So she became a mentor, and her mother is a mentor. So yeah, it just, there's always going to be a need for more and more mentors.
Right.
Absolutely.
And Teammates was founded by Tom and Sharon Osborne.
Nancy.
Osborne, excuse me. And so you think it's all sports related, but it's not really, is it? It's just being a mentor.
It started with him having players on his team be there for individuals who in general maybe don't have the most stable home life, with the whole goal of helping increase the odds that they'll graduate high school. Because the statistics around being successful member of society as a high school graduate versus not are staggering.
Yeah.
And there's some, I don't want to misquote the teammate statistic, but it's in the 90s percentiles of high school graduates those that are part of the teammates program.
Well, we need to get somebody from there on the podcast. That'd be cool.
Yeah. I've been,
I could
I've been looking
certainly
into it. Yeah.
Help you with that.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, and everyone I talk to that is a mentor, they always say, I've gotten so much more out of the program from the kids than anything I could give back.
Yeah.
So it just, the whole thing, and, Dr. Tom Osborne, longtime coach of the Huskers, when he does something, he usually does it pretty darn well.
Wait, and years ago, you did do that?
I did it. I was a mentor in college. Yeah. For the teammate program.
Then they ran your background check and kicked you out.
They were like, get this guy out of here.
You got in, but hey.
Like, how do you sneak by us?
Yep. No, it was great. And like Andy said, I mean, I feel like I got more out of it than the kid I was mentoring, but it was super cool program.
Yeah.
That's a good deal.
One of the things I was going to ask you, we were talking about all the different locations, and a lot of our audience is nationwide. And Morgan had mentioned something about her family purchasing in Colorado and so on and so forth. So is that available to people all over the nation to purchase from you guys, or how's that program set up?
Yeah, so there's basically the states that are closest geographically. The short answer is yes.
Mm-hmm.
From your home, you can do that, no problem. When you get farther outside of one of our stores, as long as you've come in and physically shopped with us before and you have an established relationship, you're able to shop with us.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like you're in the computer system.
That's exactly right.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I like that. Well, we're in.
Yeah, that's unique. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not that we don't want to be accessible for everyone. I mean, that would be foolish to just think, well, no, we're going to do things exclusive. It's far from it. It's more of back to the long-term game. The better connection we have with an individual, and a lot of that's not just proximity from geographic, but do we have an existing relationship? The better likelihood we have of setting our customer up for success rather than disappointment.
Sure.
So if we try to be everything to everyone, we're going to be nothing to nobody.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
That's probably good.
that mentality, I think, is what has brought me coming back. And to be honest, I mean, we would come out here when I was elementary kid, we grew up down South Plasmouth where our studio is. So it was always a trip up here. My parents would get things and bring them home, or we'd come up here and shop and whatever. So we knew this was kind of the place to go. But as I got older, I think you guys, your competition grew. There's big box stores popping up and they're all playing the games and so on and so forth. And honestly, I think I shopped at a lot of those. And when we built our house about 5 years ago down there, I was in charge of kind of the build, and I'm buying all the things for the house. And I thought, you know what? I haven't been to Nebraska Furniture Mart for a while, so I'm going to go up there. And I was very glad that I did. And it was just a completely different experience, like you're talking about, where all the other ones were kind of commoditized, is the way I would put it. Where here, I was able to have real interaction, find good deals, feel good about it when I walked away. And there was a couple of things that needed addressing or whatever, and they were. So it is a different experience, to your point.
Well, we're really glad that you decided to come in as well. And the one thing that we try to make sure we're mindful of is we've had a reputation for almost 90 years of not being beat in price. That's not enough, right? When you talk about commoditize, if value, I mean, some people price is the only. We want to be mindful of people's time.
Right.
We want it to be easy, seamless. If you want to start your journey on a website and then come in, or vice versa, if it's easier for you to virtually shop with someone, what's your desired?
Yeah. I mean, there's a food court here. You can take a lunch break.
Well, yeah.
And then keep shopping. Like,
We have a bar here too.
What?
I saw when I came walking through the door.
Andy's like, his ears perked up.
I told you when we came through the front door, there was a sticker on there that said, no drinks past this door. And I was like,
Yeah,
hey, I forgot you can walk around and have a beer while you're shopping or whatever.
You can?
Yeah, we have it's called Base Camp. It's right next to Subway. We've got
Oh.
coffee, wine, beer, tea.
Okay, so
Okay.
my next question was going to be, is there something that you've heard from people or you guys think that is not here that you want here? If you're going to say this is a one-stop shop for your house, is there something that like feedback that people are like, why doesn't NFM have that?
Well, is there something on your mind?
No, but I would have to like roam around and think, but I feel like you could buy everything for your home here. I don't know what would be missing.
You pretty much could. I don't think we're selling hot tubs right now.
Oh, okay.
So those are things to
Saunas?
ponder. Saunas. I think we may have tried that. Some things we test out.
Gotcha.
And back to can we do it well?
Right.
Yeah,
And that's if we can't, then we won't.
I gotcha.
Go
Okay.
back to the drawing board. We'll fail fast. Some new ones that have recently come up, because I'm not on the floor every day.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we get suggestions and we also have ideas that our team's thinking of. Water heaters is a newer one that we have.
That
Yeah,
seems
the
like that
Tesla
goes
ones
in
and
it.
all that fun stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's nothing that I can think of, but when you said that earlier, I'm like, really could furnish.
Well, if any of y'all are in need of, if you wear prescription glasses, you should check out our optical department.
Okay.
Not yet.
I didn't
Okay,
know that.
me either, but I've noticed, I thought restaurants were just making their menus
Me too.
smaller. And then my wife lent me her readers. And I'm like, oh my God.
Oh my God.
I'm like, why is it so dark in here? But we have this thing and you can test it out. It takes a minute. And there's only 2 in the world. The other one's in Europe. And it's called Unicu. And this is what it does is you stand in front of it and it looks like an iPad staring back at you.
Mhm.
And it measures every element of your eyes and how it relates to the bridge of your nose, the slope, because each side's unique. And then what it does is it gives you a number of designs and colors to choose from, and you select a few and it'll superimpose them on your face. And then it will make those glasses for you. They have not yet been made. So you get customized frames designed, collection one of one.
I'm coming here.
3D printer makes them. You'll have them in roughly 10 days.
The
Is how it
kids
works.
will have to see
That's
them.
wild.
You've got to just check this out.
Crazy.
Buddy did a
Buddy.
Yeah.
You'd be great for that. There's a tight line that I feel you guys walk, and you do it better than anyone. And you touched on it about selling for the lowest price, but then also creating this value. There's this built-in stigma. If you're the cheapest, now I think you're the cheapest. And how do you overcome that, or how have you? Like, I get it. Like, people can't help themselves. They're always going to buy the cheapest no matter what, even though they know they're going to have to buy a new one later on. But you guys have some really nice brands that wouldn't allow you to do that. Like Apple, you sell a lot of Apple products here. So coming from you, how do you walk that line and get over that hump, I guess?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And in fact, back when Mrs. B coined the phrase selling cheap, that word cheap had a lot different connotation than what it does today.
Yeah.
So we're definitely much more focused on value, and we definitely do talk about being the price leader. Really what it comes down to is back to that individual customer need. Are they needing the lowest price? Are they wanting to know what's the trade-off? Okay, I can get this for a lower price. Here's the options, the benefits, the features that this lowest price one doesn't have that the higher price one does. Another question that can come into concern, particularly when looking at furniture, well, what's your expectation of the product? How long are you wanting it to last? How's it going to be used? If you're empty nesters and you don't entertain a lot, then that sofa is going to last a lot longer than if you've got 3 kids running around the house treating it like a jungle gym.
Well, a trampoline. And I was going to talk to you about that because
We do sell trampolines.
Ozzy and
Oh.
Kimber they've done it in. And we told them, don't jump on it. It's not a trampoline, but they don't believe us. And yeah, we're going to need a new couch anyway.
You tell them to keep jumping. That's good for us.
We don't need to tell them to keep jumping.
Yeah, exactly. But you sell trampolines too. There you
Yeah,
go.
well, I guess that's the key. Well,
Although if you sell your trampoline, they'll jump on the sofa less and you'll buy sofas less frequently.
right. Yeah, I
She's
got to find
solving
that.
problems for
Yeah,
you.
there we go. I guess so. I knew I was going to end up with something. I can't come here and not get something.
Right. Right.
Exactly.
Well, did you have any other questions in particular?
I didn't. I had some
Okay.
zingers for you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I have a question where would people, like, if they wanted to work for you? I mean, are you guys always hiring? Like, if listeners are like, "Ooh, this sounds like a company I want to be at,"
Oh, appreciate that,
Just
Morgan.
online, or what's the best way for them to?
Yeah, because I mean, as you all know, there's a finite number of great people.
Yeah.
And so whether we're actively seeking or more passively, we always want to hear from folks that are interested. So
Okay.
on our website, there's a career section, and we invite folks to go in, sign in, create an account, submit their resume. The other thing that I suggest to do, and this is if you're ambitious and persistent, odds are at NFM, if you don't know anyone, then that's fine. If you do know someone that works out at NFM, reach out to them.
Yeah, that's
I have them help guide you. They also get we get a $300 referral bonus for any time someone comes in and they give our name. And that's free refills on that. So if you have 20 people that you refer, that's a nice little side hustle.
Heck yeah.
That's huge.
What is the website?
NFM.com.
Pretty simple. Also, as well, because obviously we'll be airing this on our platform, you guys have a podcast. It's called I Am Home. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So this may or may not be airing on yours, but if folks are listening to it there as well. But if for common folk, check that one out. Look up I Am Home.
Yeah.
Learn a little bit more about NFM.
I love the angle that you guys took with that. It is very well done, and talking about keeping your house looking like the seasons, just updated. And you got professionals here that can help you with that.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I give another plug for us?
Yes,
go for
it.
I appreciate that. So while I'm not a host on this awesome I Am Home podcast, we do have a startup show that is on our YouTube channel. It's monthly. It's called The Real Designers of NFM.
Oh, okay.
So you talk about professionals. We have teams in each of our stores of certified interior designers at the disposal of our customers. So every month we have a 5 to 7 minute segment where I interview one of our designers about different elements or things to think about when designing a home, a room, matching furniture, all those sorts of things. So that's on our YouTube channel. I'd like you to check that out.
Very cool.
That leads me to, have you ever been on a home show? Has any of your people, designers, been on like Flip or Flop or HGTV?
So there's a few shows that we're affiliated with. Have you heard of the show Bargain Mansion?
Yeah.
Okay, so we work very closely with Tamara Day.
Okay.
She comes in and she shops at our store, and we help with furniture selection.
I like that.
Also, we talked a lot about my role overseeing the community involvement, also overseeing public relations. I'm reaching out to various journals and things like Parade Magazine, Southern Living, where they want contributions from professionals. And so we have a number of our designers that have contributed to stories and publications such as Retail Therapy, The Kitchen, Southern Living, Parade.
Awesome.
Your people would be the people that would.
They have so much knowledge so that's part of our value proposition, right? We obviously sell these products. Why not utilize the knowledge that my teammates have, these professionals? Yep. You don't pay any extra for that.
Wow, that's huge. Cool.
Very cool. Yo, I love it, man. Andy, it's been fun getting to know you and learning a little bit about the organization. I mean, we talk to a lot of Nebraska-based companies, and you guys are that through and through, clearly. And I love that throughout the years with not only your customers, but with your employees, you've been able to keep Mrs. B's original values, and those are still going strong. That's super cool to see, too. It's definitely a store for the common folk.
It is.
Yep.
Sure.
Even as big as it is.
Right?
Yeah, which you don't see very often.
Well, certainly appreciate the opportunity. I'm such a fan of sharing Mrs. B's story. It's something we're all very proud of. And to your point, one thing that we focus on, we don't rest on our laurels, on our accolades and what we've done in the past. Every day we need to bring it. We owe it to our customers. We owe it to our coworkers. And so our focus isn't so much how big we get. It's how are we doing to take care of you. So we appreciate the opportunity very much. Great visiting with y'all.
Which is great.
Good
I learned
stuff.
so much.
Good
Yeah,
stuff.
thank you.
Anything else?
I think that's
Do
it.
it.
All right, well, let's close it out. Thanks, Andy.
Oh, thank you.
We'll see you.